There was a tornado in Arkansas. Our minister, Reverend Daybree, would normally be zooming in this talk. So, since she doesn't have electricity, doesn't have Wi-Fi, she used the last 15% of the battery power on her computer to send an email to everyone she could, including me, and I got it. So this talk is clear. Oh, too bad it's not a photo. Do you happen to have a photo of Reverend Daybree? This talk is a very personal talk from Reverend Daybree, and I decided there's no way I could rewrite it, so I'm just basically going to read her talk. And we are going to just realize this is our way of loving, our connecting with knowing that Reverend Daybree and Denny are both enfolded in God's love. I'm going to put on my glasses. So we've been talking about the three faces of God tonight. Today, it's the ceremony. You might have noticed by now the table up front. We're going to tell you all about it. So all this is going to be written in Daybree's language. It's very funny to say. I've had a glorious time myself over these past 3 weeks of this series, The Three Faces of God. I would describe it as expansive. In anticipation of practicing holding our understanding and relationship with God, Spirit, light, life, love, all that is, from an unlimited, inclusive perspective, adding a richness and depth to our spiritual practices. There are some, even within unity, which believe we should only speak of God from the first person, the I am perspective, that anything else suggests separation, a power and a will separate and apart from our divinity. I understand that. I can see that. And I will not be limited in my understanding of the divine. If God is everywhere present, then God is everywhere present, including out there, including beside me, and of course within me. The words to the song by Reverend Michael Gott, and I believe the song was written when Michael was a music director at Unity of Houston just prior to his ordination, are this: Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, hands up, open to the sky, palms open, an invitation of inclusion. God of all that is, the sky, the trees, the sun, the breeze, all of nature, the oceans and the lakes, mountains, forests, deserts, the stars and the planets, the moon, the rain, all growing things, the energy of the atmosphere, all creatures of the earth and sky and water, truly all that is, has ever been or ever will be, stardust upon stardust, infinite. At the same time, within this awe of grandeur, we recognize our oneness, our kinship, our family, both ancient and more recent and contemporary. Remember, we can be wild Wiccans if we choose, celebrating and honoring the seasons and life cycles of nature. We can be Druids, honoring our relationships with nature, the flora, the fauna, and the diverse peoples of the world, the divine essence of nature. Taoism, Hinduism, shamanism, all part of the larger perspective. We can enjoy all faith traditions that embrace God in the third person, a God separate and apart from us, knowing deeply that there is more to spirit to embrace. We can embrace all with an and. It's not an either or, but the simple three-letter word, and. One simple word to open our world of spiritual perspective, the wholeness of God, the fullness of spirit. How beautiful to know that as students of unity, embracing the Spirit within, we can also embrace the Spirit outside of us. We can reconnect with the joy and reverence and set aside the fear of our ancestors. Then we moved into exploring intimate God, the familiarity of the divine with us, as confidant, as friend, as ever-present companion. We hold our hands in prayer as we sing, "Intimate God, you are always with us, beside us, present to help us, to remind us that we are never alone." I've shared the story with you about how in my previous line of work, yes, ministry was a second career for me, I traveled a great deal, primarily driving around the state of Florida when I lived in St. Pete. Often, especially when I was in a more reflective mood, I would invite the presence and energy of Jesus to ride in the car with me. This idea would often come to me as I traveled across the Sunshine Bridge. We'd comment, agree, that God had done a really good job with the planet. With the view from the top of the bridge, the water below, seagulls riding the winds above and below us, boats gliding on the water. At the time, I was also attending Sai Baba's study groups. Sai Baba had not yet made his transition at this time. He passed away in 2011. You would recognize pictures of him with his saffron, bright orange robes and wild, frizzy black hair. Sai Baba loved Jesus and put up lights for Christmas. I would sometimes invite the energy of Sai Baba to join us. He would never sit in the back seat. He always insisted on sitting on the lap of Jesus and laugh. You've seen drawings of laughing Jesus with his head thrown back. This is what's happening. What joyous car rides these were for me, basking in the joy of the moment. In times of difficulty, I also reach in and out for support. I have asked for the presence and energy of Jesus to join me when I've approached a difficult situation, an uncomfortable conversation, or times when I was hurting and grieving personally. Yes, there is the Christ consciousness within, always. And, there's that word again, and. It feels reassuring, like I am gathering my resources, my prayer warriors, my peacemakers together in my mind, summoning these energies, fortifying, building strength. We do that for one another. We are each God in expression, and when we lend a hand, or offer to help, or read somebody's talk, or give a suggestion, we are helping others gather their inner strength and guidance and move forward. We are being the presence of intimate God, the God presence, the God essence beside us, familiar, close. I was blessed to attend seminary with many amazing, beautiful lights of love. We stayed connected, but it was frayed. I talked to Judy, Judy would talk to Carrie, Christine would talk to the other Judy. Yes, we had two Judys. During the pandemic, we made the commitment to meet together on Zoom every month, to connect and to give extra support to each other. This past week was one of our Zoom gatherings. One of my colleagues was really struggling. She lost her mom a few years back and was carrying guilt around the situation that her mother's wishes were not honored by her siblings. Now she was facing the transition of one of her congregants, someone she loved dearly and had discussed with them their final wishes. The person had a terminal diagnosis, So no one was surprised by her moving towards her transition. What did surprise my friend, and not in a good way, was that this person's wishes were not being honored by her family. Even though she had completed a DNR, do not resuscitate, her family overrode the paperwork. My friend recognized what was going on within her. It was her desire for her congregant to have her wishes honored. And it was also the guilt she was holding on to about her mom's wishes not being honored. So she asked us for help. We were, on that call, the presence of divine standing strong for her. We were being the loving power of the intimate God. We were reminding her of her strength and love for her congregants, family, as well as for the members of her congregation. The one she knew, that member that she knew and dearly loved. My friend is no less spiritual than the rest of us. She needed the God beside her, intimate friend, revealed as each one of us to support her in the moment. 3 days after our call together, this friend reached out to the rest of us to let us know what had happened. As she stood lovingly present with the family, without an agenda, the family found the strength they needed to talk about their loved one's wishes, to ask my friend to pray with them, and releasing their family member to make their transition without interruption. We need every aspect of God for our spiritual wholeness. We need to use the word "and" when it comes to our our personal spirituality. God out there, God nearby, and God, the Christ consciousness within. Innermost God, hands over our hearts. We are the light of the world. Moving into sacred ceremony now, you might have noticed we have a table. We've created an experience to deepen these lessons for us, imprint them on our hearts in an experiential way. Robin has put together the sacred ceremony table. To the far right are the elements representing infinite God, God out there in nature. We have a bowl of flowers and stones and seashells. As you come forward, you may take one of the items to represent to you infinite God. In the center are several essential oils. Select one that speaks to you and either smell it, or if it's a roller, you could roll it gently on your skin. This represents intimate God, the God beside us. To the far left is a bowl of water. Our bodies are made up of 60% water. Take a spoon and dip out some water, place it on your hand, on your other hand or fingers, then you can dry your hand with a towel. It's right up front. The water represents innermost God, the great I am, the God within, our essence of who we are. So Lori and Aaron, perhaps even a prayer chaplain or two, would come forward to hold the sacred space and guide you if needed. And if there are any other prayer chaplains that wanted to just hold that sacred space, you can come forward. Feel free. We're going to begin with our music team. Once they are complete, they will begin playing the song by Reverend Michael Gott. And everyone is invited to join us. Stand up if you like and use the hand signals for the three faces of God as the song commences. Come on down. Why don't we start with anyone towards the front? No pressure. We'll pretend this is a dry run for an Easter service where we just all kind of come forward and add flowers. You can take a flower or a rock.
Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with us. Innermost God, we are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. We are the light of the world.
was a beautiful ceremony. I'm really glad that many of us participated. It feels wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much to Reverend Daybree presenting this. I mean, she had to give up this final ceremony, which she'd been planning this. She did this whole thing in 2017, and it meant so much to her that she brought it back. And she did the first Sunday, and I did the second, and she did the third, and she gave it all to Aaron to do the fourth. So thank you so much, Reverend Daybree and Aaron. Thank you so much.